The morning was unusually cold for early spring. Rain had been falling all night, leaving the streets slick and glistening under gray skies. Umbrellas dotted the sidewalks as the city began to stir, people moving briskly through puddles, eager to get out of the chill. But down a quieter side street, far from the traffic and noise, something else stirred. Something fragile, something forgotten. Elise Martin walked this street every morning with her golden retriever, Max. It was a peaceful detour from the busier main road, a place where old buildings leaned in close and ivy crawled over brick. Today, though, Max suddenly stopped. His ears twitched, nose pointed toward a dark alleyway cluttered with trash bags and cardboard. "What is it, boy?" Elise asked softly. Max whined and pulled at the leash. Then Elise heard it too, a faint, high-pitched cry, like a baby's whimper, buried under the sound of falling rain. Concerned, she followed Max to the alley. The crying grew louder with each step, sharp and desperate. And then she saw them. Curled behind a rusted dumpster was a dog, large, muddy, and trembling. His body was hunched protectively over something small. Elise took a few cautious steps closer, then gasped. It was a kitten, tiny, soaked to the bone, and crying pitifully. The dog had wrapped his body around it like a shield, blocking the wind and rain. Despite his own thin frame, he held the kitten tightly, eyes full of pain, but also something else. Determination. A silent plea. Elise knelt down. "Oh, you poor things." The dog didn't growl or bark. He just stared, unmoving. Max whimpered beside her. Elise fumbled for her phone and called the nearest animal shelter. "There's a dog and a kitten," she said, voice shaking. "They're hurt. Please send someone." Rescuers arrived within 15 minutes. Dana, a young shelter worker, knelt beside Elise. "He hasn't moved at all," Elise whispered. "He's keeping her warm." Dana reached out slowly. "Hey, buddy, we're here to help." As she tried to lift the kitten, the dog let out a soft, trembling growl, not of aggression, but fear. His body tensed. His eyes locked onto Dana's with a warning. "Don't take her. We'll keep them together," Dana promised gently. It took patience, soft words, and careful hands, but they eventually moved both into a crate lined with blankets. The dog only relaxed once the kitten was beside him. He curled his body around her again, as if nothing else mattered. At the vet clinic, time was critical. The kitten, later named Hope, was in fragile condition, dehydrated, underweight, suffering from a respiratory infection. They placed her in an incubator and started fluids immediately. The dog, who they soon named Hero, was another story. As the vet team began examining him, they discovered what lay beneath his muddy, matted fur, old burned scars across his back and sides. Patches of fur were missing, skin discolored and twisted. His bones jutted out from malnourishment. X-rays revealed multiple fractures that had healed without treatment, ribs, legs, even his spine. Signs of past trauma were written all over his body. Dr. Langston, a seasoned veterinarian, studied the images and stepped back. He had seen animal cruelty before, but not like this. Not someone who had clearly been abused, and yet had chosen to protect something weaker. He shielded her, he whispered, with this broken body. No one in the room could speak. Even the toughest vet tech turned away, blinking back tears. Recovery was slow. Hope spent her first week in an incubator, her breathing shallow, her cries quiet. But Hero refused to eat unless she was close. They moved his bed beside the glass case, and only then did he start to nibble on food. Every time she stirred, he lifted his head. Every time she whimpered, he whined. When Hope was finally strong enough to leave the incubator, they reunited her with Hero. The moment her tiny paws touched the edge of his blanket, she curled into his side like she had always belonged there. Hero licked her gently and closed his eyes. From that moment on, they were never apart. Staff at the clinic were enchanted. People who had seen countless cases of injury and neglect found themselves lingering by Hero and Hope's enclosure, watching their bond grow stronger each day. Hero began walking again, slowly at first, favoring his back leg. Physical therapy helped rebuild his muscles, but his scars would remain for life. Hope, meanwhile, began to play, first with her tail, then with the toys the staff brought her. She would climb over Hero, bat at his ears, and fall asleep curled into his belly. They were survivors, but more than that, they were family. Then came the footage. A nearby shop had a security camera aimed at the alley. When the authorities reviewed it, they found grainy but unmistakable footage. A van pulling up late at night. A man stepped out, carrying something small. He tossed it like trash near the dumpster. Hope. Moments later, he shoved Hero out roughly and drove off. Hero limped immediately toward the kitten, then laid down and covered her with his body. The video was released online and everything changed. The footage went viral in hours. Animal lovers around the world wept at the sight. News outlets ran their story. Donations flooded the shelter. Offers of adoption came from as far as Canada and Australia. Hero and Hope became symbols of loyalty, resilience, and unconditional love. The man responsible was identified and arrested. He had a record of animal abuse and was charged under the state's cruelty laws. But for Hero and Hope, justice had already begun with their rescue. Weeks turned to months. Hope grew into a sleek, playful kitten with bright eyes and boundless energy. Hero, now stronger and walking confidently, still watched her every move. They became the shelter's pride, and people traveled miles just to meet them. And one day, someone came not just to meet them, but to take them home. Dr. Langston, the very vet who had once turned away in tears at Hero's wounds, stepped forward. "I want them to come home with me," he said simply. "They're not just survivors, they're healers." He lived on a quiet farm outside the city, a place with wide open fields, soft beds, warm sunlight, a place for peace, a place for second chances. Their first night at the farm was quiet. Hope explored every room, tail high. Hero followed calmly, never letting her out of his sight. When night fell, she curled up on a rug by the fireplace. Hero lay down beside her. The crackling warmth touched his scarred fur as he placed one paw gently over her. Together, they fell asleep. In the months that followed, Hero and Hope thrived. They went on walks through flower-lined paths. They napped under sunbeams on the porch. They watched birds, played with leaves, and greeted every visitor who came to the clinic Dr. Langston ran from home. Their story continued to inspire. Animal rights groups named campaigns after them. A children's book was published about their bond. And every night, they curled up together, Hope now larger, stronger, but still nestled into the space Hero always made for her. Their scars never disappeared, but they wore them like badges not of pain, but of survival. And for the rest of their lives, they reminded everyone who met them that love doesn't care about size, that healing doesn't require perfection, and that even the most broken hearts can still protect, still love, and still hope.